Hi everyone, this is Sami from the Sephora at Fashion Square in Sherman Oaks. And winged liner is one of those looks that will never go out of style. So keep on watching if you want to learn about my take on a smoky wing. My eyelids have already been primed with concealer, so I'm just going to dive straight into my shadow. The palette I am using is the Too Faced Natural Lust palette. The first shade I am going to be using is Silk Robe. I am going to take Silk Robe on my number 12 Pro All-Over Shadow Brush and pat that all the way from lash line up to my brow bone. This is just to brighten up my lid to make sure my colors pop nice and vibrant. Repeating that step on the other side, just blending it all the way through, and then I am ready to start playing with some pigment. For my transition shade, I am going to be using Call Me Back. This is about 2 to 3 shades darker than my natural lid color, so it's just going to give me the right amount of definition. Picking up my Sephora Collection number 19 brush, I'm going to blend this shade all throughout my crease in windshield wiper motions from edge to edge. So repeating that on the other side. Sometimes I like to tilt my head slightly back so I can identify the crease of my eye just a little bit easier. So I'm blending that all the way through and lightly diffusing it up into my brow bone. My next shade is going to be Set in Stone. So using that same number 19 brush, I'm going to blend it throughout my crease again just to deepen it a bit further. I like these tones because they're nice and warm and they blend well with my natural complexion. So again, blending it back and forth until it's nice and soft. This number 19 brush is perfect for blending any shade into your crease because it has a nice precise tip, but it's still fluffy enough to blend out the colors very seamlessly. Now picking up my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in the shade Custard, I'm going to be using the Sephora Collection number 45 brush to cut my crease. I'm not going to do anything too intense. This is just so my next shade can pop very nicely and adhere well to my eyelid as well. When I am doing a cut crease, I usually like to apply the concealer towards my lash line and then look all the way up to the sky because that kind of helps mark out where I want to blend my concealer. Just softly diffusing that in, I'm just going to apply it evenly all the way across the lid. And doing the same thing on the other side, I'm just going to cut my crease with my concealer. I've noticed that my eyes are very different in size, so sometimes I have a little difficulty evening out the concealer, but with a little bit of work, I can manipulate it into looking how I want it to. And then onto my wet concealer, I am going to apply the Touch in Soul Metalist Sparkling Foiled Eyeshadow in the shade Golden Tangerine. I normally just use my finger to apply this whole shade, but because my nails are quite long, it can be hard to be more precise and accurate. So I'm just going to use that same number 12 all-over shadow brush and just dust it onto my lid. Because this shadow is more of a glitter, I like to have the concealer laid down. That way it adheres well and I get minimal fallout. And then just to kick it up a notch, I will apply it in the center with my finger just for some extra vibrancy. All right, and packing it onto the lid on the other side, just using that number 12 brush to blend out any harsh lines. I'm going to work it in to the crease as well. And if you do experience any fallout, just take a large powder brush and dust it right away. And now for some liner. I'm going to be using the Bobbi Brown Longwear Gel Eyeliner in Black Ink with my Sephora Collection number 22 brush. I love this brush because it has an angle to it, so it makes doing a wing liner so much easier. I typically like to start out by just doing a simple line all the way across my lid, and then I will use the pointy end of my brush to begin to mark out my wing. A rule I kind of like to follow when I am creating my winged liner is to think of it as an extension of my lower lash line, just angled slightly more upwards. So I kind of mark it out first and then I pull it into the line I've already created on my eyelid. Because these products are so creamy, you can easily blend them out, which is why I like to do this step one eye at a time, because once they dry down, they are completely waterproof. So it's good to just kind of work in sections. So taking my number 11 Pro Smudge brush, I'm going to start blending out my gel liner. So working that back and forth, I'm just going to softly diffuse the lines to give me more of a smoky look. Now, because this is so creamy, it blends out so seamlessly. And feel free to make this as smoky as you'd like. I like to blend out the lash line as well, just so it's not too harsh. And because this is a gel liner, it will dry down after a couple minutes. So going one eye at a time, I'm going to take the Too Faced palette once more with the shade Blindfolded, that same number 11 smudge brush, and use that black shadow to diffuse out the gel liner. I kind of work this into my crease ever so slightly just to give me a little more definition on the corner of my eye, but this is what's going to give you that smoky, effortless look. And then taking the concealer brush that I already used to cut my crease, I'm just going to sharpen up that bottom line of the wing liner. I prefer my brush to have a little bit leftover concealer on it so it blends with the rest of my face, and it just makes it look so sharp and very precise. So repeating the same steps on the other side, I'm going to begin by lining my natural lash line and then using my lower lash line as a guide for my wing, marking it out with my angled brush. Going to use the little smudger and smoke it out. You can tell that the wing really elongates the shape of my eye and gives me a different look, and using that black shadow is going to soften it and give it that smoky effect. All right, and then dusting away any fallout with my powder brush, I'm going to take the same gel liner and brush and line my upper and lower waterline. And then digging back into my palette, I'm going to take Blindfolded again and smoke out my lower lash line. And then using my same number 11 brush that I used to blend out my liner on top, I'm going to smoke out my lower lash line. I kind of like to connect my wing and lower lash line with the shadow. That way it just gives me a nice smoldery look. Blending it out, diffusing out that product. Having that gel liner as a base is really going to help the powder shadow stay all day long as well. So I'm just working it in until I am happy with the amount of smokiness I have. And then if you make any mistakes, you can always just take your concealer brush and clean it right up. Same thing on the other side. I like to do a pretty smoky lower lash line. That way it keeps my eye nice and open since I am doing the wing on the upper lash line. You want to make sure you keep things very balanced. That way one isn't overpowering the other. And for some mascara, I am using the Sephora Collection Lash Craft Big Volume Mascara. I love this mascara. It just makes my lashes look so long and so full. The formula of it is very creamy and it doesn't give you that dry, brittle lash look. And it also doesn't flake, which is great. It gives me just lots of drama and makes my lashes look just so stunning without any false lashes on. So I'm going to use the Sephora Collection Lily Lashes for Sephora Collection in the style Rome. I've already used these plenty of times, so they are cut down to my eye shape. So I'm just going to go ahead and just glue it with my Sephora Collection Brush Tip Lash Adhesive. This is the clear shade. It goes on kind of a light whitish blue color and dries down completely clear. So using my Tweezerman Pink Perfection Point Tweezers, I am just going to apply this as close to my lash line as I can. I like to push it down with my fingers and then push it upwards so my lashes look nice and lifted. And then applying the lash on the other side. These lashes are great because they give just the right amount of drama where you can still rock the lash and the wing at the same time.
Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this look. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to Sephora's channel. Bye!